The crazy F1 race where almost everyone ran out of fuel. Running out of fuel has been a part of F1 history since the very start. It's probably the most simple retirement you can have. It's very rare nowadays to see a car pull over because the tank has completely run dry, but in times gone by, when they didn't need a litre at the end, Sebastian Vettel Hungary flashbacks 2021 intensify, fuel was run to the very limit, and in the 1985 San Marino Grand Prix at Imola, this caused a whole load of late race drama. Let's take a look back. The 1980s was a boom for F1. It was growing globally and the cars were getting faster and faster. In full qualifying spec, they were reaching over 1,350 horsepower. This was because of the new turbocharged engines that were being used at the time. Because they were so powerful, they would use a lot of fuel, and with a limit of 220 litres, this caused some problems. At Imola in particular, it was always going to be a stretch to get to the finish. The year before, in 1984, 3 cars had run out of fuel because of the long straights and heavy braking zones, and the engines were way more powerful the year later. It was going to be tricky. The race started pretty normally. Senna led from pole with his Lotus teammate Elio De Angelis in second, and Michele Alboreto and Alain Prost following. Senna had it all under control, whilst the others were fighting behind him. Gradually, it became his to lose. Alboreto retired, De Angelis had a turbo issue, and he fought off Prost, who then dropped back too. Having spent half the race in the fight for the lead, the top cars now had to back off and try to get to the line. It wasn't as simple as flicking it into lean mix 1 like you do in the Formula 1 game, because the fuel flow technology was only just being developed. They had to really back off the pace. The slower pace at the front meant that the leaders became more vulnerable to the drivers behind, and in particular the remaining Ferrari of Stefan Johansson. He was only in his 12th Grand Prix and his second at Ferrari, but all of a sudden he was the fastest man on track. He'd started the race in P15 and had been quietly picking everyone off until he was in P4 and closing on the leaders. The Tifosi were going crazy. Johansson passed De Angelis for the podium, he then overtook Prost for second place, and Senna was only 10 seconds up the road. Who would get to the finish? Gradually, other cars were starting to conk out. Derek Warwick and Martin Brundle both pulled over with no fuel. Nelson Piquet was also going slowly too. And then, with 3 laps to go, Senna dramatically slowed. His tank was empty. Johansson passed him for the lead in Italy for Ferrari. It was the stuff of dreams. But the dream was over very quickly, because after only half a lap, Johansson ran out of fuel too. Alain Prost then took over the lead, the third leader in 1 lap, and then managed to coast it to the finish line with De Angelis in second. However, it wasn't done there. Prost stopped at the side of the road with no fuel left either. Thank goodness he'd made it to the end, right? He was picked up and went to the podium, but 2 hours later he was disqualified for being 2 kilograms beneath the minimum weight. Elio De Angelis was now the winner, and he hadn't even led a lap. Second place went to Thierry Boutsen, who'd literally pushed his car over the line after he'd hit empty on the pit straight, and Patrick Tambay finished third. De Angelis actually only managed to get to the end because his turbo issue earlier on meant that he didn't use as much fuel anyway. He also had a brake fire, so whilst everyone else was running out of fuel, he had no brakes at all. Safe to say he was very lucky to get to the end, let alone winning the whole thing. Only 2 other cars actually finished the race, Niki Lauda and Nigel Mansell, and in total, 7 cars ran out of fuel in the last few laps. There you have it, the F1 race where almost everyone ran out of fuel. The 1985 San Marino Grand Prix has gone down in legend as one of the craziest finishes to an F1 race ever. Can you think of any other crazy F1 races? Let us know in the comment section below.